It's April 6th, and there's an elephant in the room. Actually, he's not in the room. He's splish splashing around in the Strait of Hormuz, and he is about to make a mess of our global economy. I spent a lot of time listening to the guys over on what's going on in shipping. And one of the points he makes is for every day that ships don't go through the Strait of Hormuz, it is a week's worth of damage to the supply chain. So we got some real problems coming forward when it comes to supply chain, which is going to affect construction and it affects our gas prices, even though basically 95% of our crude comes from the United States. About 5% of it comes from someplace else. And that's all going to have an effect on what happens in real estate. I'm Valerie Kroll, and this is the House Slayer. So, how does gasoline affect the price of crude oil, which of course becomes the price of gasoline, affect the price of real estate? I would argue that 2008 was the mortgage meltdown completely caused by nothing other than gas prices. Now there were some other factors but as far as Joe Schmo goes, I think that's really what happened, because what we had was a bunch of people pulled a bunch of cash out of their houses to buy a bunch of things. And the things they bought were boats, RVs, Escalades that they couldn't afford and shouldn't have been buying in the first place. And they all put those on there. They either refinanced their house, pulled money out because appreciation was so rampant back then, or alternatively, they did a HELOC, did the same thing, same result. Uh, what happened was when you go from driving a Toyota to work and then move to an Escalade, your gas price goes up a little bit, but you're cool with that. That's all right. I can handle that. Except for when the price of gas spikes to $1, $2 a gallon, um, and you're buying as much gas as you need for a large vehicle that is consuming a lot of gasoline, your cost to get to work, maybe it was 150 a week before, now it's 300, maybe it's 250. For an average American family, that's a hit, and that can cause some problems and some consternation. However, we have a little bit different economy now, and not everybody's driving to work every day. A lot of people aren't driving to work at all. They're working from home, which is a good thing for them. For people like me that have to drive for a living, we get robbed once or twice a week, depending on how many houses I showed that week, which is fine. I have it in my budget to be able to handle that, but there are people out there that don't. Still, what that's going to do is that's going to cause consumer spending to go down. So discretionary spending. So people are not going to buy a new car. They're not going to buy, um, you know, iPods, iPhones, the discretionary stuff. Maybe you don't buy 5 new pairs of shoes. It's going to slow down some spending. I would argue we need to slow down a little spending anyway, so that's not that big a deal. How does that affect the housing market? As long as we don't go into a job recession, the housing market should be unfazed by this. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I see happening. I see the housing market to remain stable. I don't think we're going to have the run-ups we did. I don't think we're going to have multiple offer situations as badly as we did. And I mean, we are going to have some multiple offer situations because in some areas you're deliberately priced under on purpose for the purpose of creating a multiple offer situation. That's how Oakland, Berkeley, San Leandro have worked for years. We do it in Contra Costa County that way from time to time. That's a great way to strategically price your house and get it sold in a market like this. That being said, I don't think we're going to have, we've been showing 6-7% appreciation year after year after year. This year we just had 1.4% appreciation countywide. When you add to that our wage growth was 3.9%, that actually tells me that affordability is improving in our area. Because wages improved way better than appreciation went up, which is good for buyers, really good for buyers, and quite honestly, good for sellers. Because where your house is at is where it's at in the market. One of the things I hear a lot of is I'm going to sell when my house hits, 950. I'm going to sell when my house hits 750. And my question is always, what are you going to do then? Because whatever you're planning on doing, if you need it to hit, say, 950 so you can buy a ranch in, Tulare County or whatever, appreciation may not be as bad there, but it's going to appreciate as well. So it's going to move up as well. So that 950 over here isn't going to help you as much. For me, I would rather the market pull back and then I paid less for the next place. That's how I think. So let's see how gas prices affect things. We'll go back to 1956. We had an oil price episode, which was followed directly by a U.S. recession. 1973 was the Yom Kippur War, followed by gas price spike, followed by recession. 1979, we had the Iranian Revolution, resulting in global stagnation and high inflation, and then a recession. In 2008, oil spiked, which we've already talked about, and that messed everything up. Now, in that case, that was followed by a job loss recession. And that's why 2008 was different. Now, if I felt we were in position to have a job loss recession, I would definitely have a different take on this. But I don't see a job loss recession coming, quite simply because the numbers aren't there. Jobless claims came in at, I think they said 72,000 or something like that, which is ridiculously low and is probably not an accurate number. Will probably be revised at some point. But for now, that's what the number is. So based on all that, I think we're actually heading into a balanced market where we will start seeing something that we haven't seen. I've been selling for 18 years, and we have never seen, the entire time I've been selling, a balanced market. We've seen a buyer's market followed by a seller's market, and that's it. And it switched over so fast it would give you whiplash. It was nuts. But we were in a balanced market for maybe 15 minutes. I mean, it was crazy how quickly that market switched. And that was brought on by lower interest rates in the 2s and the 3s, which was brought on by quantitative easing, which we will not see unless we see a major job loss recession, which, while the feds want to slow down wage growth, they don't want to cause a job loss recession. So I think they're trying to thread the needle there. And so far they've been lucky and they've gotten it right. So, I'm voting for this Fed. As much as I like to dog Jerome Powell, the truth of the matter is he's done a really good job. Now, how does that affect you? Well, with the wage growth up about 3.9% year over year, that's good thing. That's good. Rents over the last couple of years have been average about 1.4%, but there's a new law which allows them to now raise them to up to 7.7%. So your landlord could essentially stay under the cap and raise your rent 5%, and your wages wouldn't keep up with that rent raise. But you know what doesn't go up? a fixed rate mortgage. So let's take that into consideration in our arguments. So the fixed rate mortgage may cost you more this year, and it may be 5-10% more than what you're paying on your rent. Fair. That's but after a period of, it's usually 4 to 6 years, your on a fixed rate, your pay rate will catch up to that. And as the years go by and you continue making payments, if I told you what my house payment was, you'd be shocked that that's what I pay for a house that's worth about $850,000 right now. And it's probably less than your rent. So how does this all affect real estate? Well, real estate's been holding pretty tight. Um, we have in Concord, we have 46 existing home sales right now, which is it's a little lower. It's a 9.8% less homes than last year, and we had a little pullback on price month over month. I would argue that we were not seeing the quality product that we saw last year on the market. I saw what was on the market, and there's a couple of nice ones, and there was a lot that were just not there. There are currently 80 active listings, which is pretty much in line with last year. Our days on the market in Concord are 14. List to sale price is 101%. And about 26% of active listings have had a price reduction. So that means they missed the first time out on a price. And I would argue that it's possible that buyers are sitting there waiting for a price reduction on stuff. They'll let it go out on the market. And unless it is really dressed out and ready to go, they're going to wait. I think that's happening right now. Now, in Walnut Creek, they had 28 single family sales in February, which is up 75%. That's huge. The existing price, once again, it's got a little bit of fall off. It's 1.49 is the existing single family medium price. And there are 49 active listings, which is a 22% improvement year over year. Here's where the money is. Market competition. Days on the market, 9. That is a screaming seller's market. Sale to list price, 102.4. Screaming seller's market. Percentage of active listings with a price reduction, 22%. So it's a little better than Concord. And Concord's a little more working class. I mean, the average price is 1.49 versus 805. So there is a big difference there. Now let's go over to the other place I love to work, which is Oakland. Single family home sales year over year, no change, 120 houses both years. There's 274 active listings right now. That's a fall off of 34%. So that's 34% less. Everyone else has 22 to 25% more. Existing single family median price is $845 in Oakland. The percentage change, it's down just 6.2. So Oakland is holding tighter than Contra Costa County. It's a little softer out here. Still, market competition, days on the market, 14. Sales to list price, 106%. Now that's taking into consideration that Oakland does price, they tend to price 20% under, but not everybody does that. So it's kind of this mixed bag trying to figure out where your pricing is Oakland, but 106, that's solid, and that's about consistent with what it's been. Percentage of active listings with price reduction, only 20%. And that sale to list price number in Oakland, it's hard to say because the way they price for multiple offers in Oakland. It's the only place where they consistently do it. So when you hear something going for 100,000 over, 200,000 over, or whatever, and I've written in Oakland for $250,000 over asking and not gotten a house. I went and looked at a house last week that we went and workshopped later. I think that house is going to go for 2.2, but some of the arguments on that house went all the way to 2.5. and the house is listed at 1.5. So that's the kind of stuff that happens in Oakland. That being said, I have also written at ask and gotten it, and we put a fixer on the market that came in 5,000 under our list price, which quite honestly, it was not my list price. So it would have come in 20% over mine. It came in right where I thought it was going to come in. It's just we had to price it a little bit different to get there. So that's kind of some of the stuff that's going on in the market right now. I think there's an opportunity there. And once again, it gets back to what we talk about all the time on here, which is shelter. Unless you're planning on living in a refrigerator box under the 680, got to pay for shelter. So say, your rent's $4,000 a month. It's almost $50,000 you're giving to a landlord. Now, 50,000 of that 50,000, if you were paying it on a mortgage, I would say probably the first year 40,000 went to roughly 40,000 would go to interest, and the rest would go principal. So you'd only pay 10,000 off. But once you get into the meter loan, like I am, I'm 18 years into this house. I am in the meter loan on this house, and basically, like $150 goes to interest, and everything else goes to principal for every payment I make now. So that's the benefit of buy and hold with real estate, and treating real estate as if it were a stock, which a lot of people talk about real estate as if it were a stock. But the truth of the matter is, when you're looking for your place for your family, for your kids, for yourself, whoever, that's not a stock. That's a home, and it's different. So that's all I got for today. So Valerie Kroll, and thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next week.